Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 5th Kalasha International Film and TV Market. Thank you very much for making it on time this morning. My name is John Allen Namu. I'll be your host this morning. And our theme this year is film business, and we'll be exploring themes in the economics of content creation in the digital era. Now, we've got 3 exciting days ahead of us, filled with a program of exciting, engaging panels, conferences, workshops, panel discussions, exhibitions, even speed dating, as well as screenings. Now, to our online audience joining us from wherever you're joining us around the world, we appreciate you this morning. You can drop us a chat in the comment section. Drop your flag in there as well so we know where you're joining us from. The hashtag there is Kalasha Film Market 2022. We'd like to thank, first of all, our hosts, the KICC, the Kenyatta International Conference Center, for giving this conference a home this year. And we'd also like to thank our sponsors and our partners. We appreciate you very, very much and your support in making this a success. And we look forward to an exciting 3 days ahead. Now, without further ado, my job is very easy this morning. I'd like to invite on stage our first speaker, Mr. Timothy Owase, the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission. Let's give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen, as he makes his way to the stage.
Our chief guest, Madam Maureen Mbaka, the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of ICT, the First Lady, the first daughter of the Republic of Zimbabwe, that is Washe Tariro, the chairperson, representative of Kenya Film Commission, the board, filmmakers, and all invited guests. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning once again. It gives me pleasure to host you today as we celebrate the great milestones that the Kenyan film industry has actually achieved, as well as exchange ideas and share best practices in this forum, Kalasha International Film and TV Market, more so it being the 5th edition of Kalasha International Film and TV Market. I take this opportunity to thank you all for making time to join us this morning as we celebrate this milestone, and also as we converge together to chart the future of business in film in Kenya. When it comes to production of local films, Kenya has distinguished itself as a center of excellence for documentary filmmaking in Africa, among them Softy and The Letter. Several Kenyan feature films have also actually attracted international praise, which we commend the practitioners in the field. Kenya Film Commission is mandated to develop and promote the local film industry and attract international productions in the country. So as we converge here today, it's my desire and a call to all practitioners that we have an opportunity to undertake all that is possible, because it is possible. The film sector provides us an opportunity to actually tell our stories, and Kenya Film Commission has been given that mandate by the government to champion storytelling in this country. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics in 2019 economic survey, the Kenyan film industry directly contributed immensely 4.5% of the country's total employed workforce, which is a clear show that we have an avenue to actually overtake agriculture in this country. So as a sector, the challenge is for us to continue championing the art of filmmaking and the push that the film industry can actually change our social being and create opportunities for wealth creation in our nation. The Kalasha International Film and TV Market is therefore an important event for us. It offers a unique platform for all regional and international players and festival goers from the TV and film industry to gather, discuss, exchange, collaborate, share stories, and develop new business opportunities. For the next 3 days, this trade fair will showcase filming activities and offer high-level interaction through conferences, workshops, business-to-business opportunities, and pitching sessions. We are also happy to announce that during the 3 days, tonight we are going to launch our first ever filming locations in the country. The locations will be available online after the launch, and we will have practitioners access first-hand information as far as filming in the country is concerned. We are confident that it will strengthen the existing. I would like to also take this opportunity to thank our ministry, more so our CS, Honorable John Msheru, who is represented here by the Chief Administrative Secretary, Madam Maureen Mbaka, for championing the legal framework for the local film industry, which is going to create an avenue for all practitioners in the industry to have clarity on how to champion the trade of film. I'm therefore glad to emphasize that upon the passing of the film policy and bill, it will create an avenue for us to continue promoting, to develop, and also to champion the ingrainment of local content in our sphere, because that is the future of this nation. We know that film can be able to employ an array of practitioners in the sector, and when we do this, of course, we'll be creating wealth for our nation, which is a critical component that we all want to follow and champion. At the Commission, we remain committed to ensure that Kenya remains a global hub for film production. We are constantly developing a vibrant and sustainable local film industry, marketing Kenya as a preferred filming destination, and it's now my distinguished pleasure to invite the representative of the Board of Kenya Film Commission to come and give his remarks, Mr. Ernest Kerich. Karibu.
Our chief guest, Madam Maureen Mbaka, Chief Administrative Secretary from the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs, CEO, directors of the Kenya Film Commission. I can also see the director of the Department of Film Services, Mr. Vincent Onyango, the director of the Kenya Film School, Mr. Kibara, distinguished guests, our guests from across the continent, the first daughter from Zimbabwe. I recognize your presence and thank you very much for coming along. Before I get down to this small speech that I have over here, I want to request my colleagues in the board of the Kenya Film Commission to stand up so that I may introduce them and you get a feel of the people that are actually on the steering wheel at the Kenya Film Commission. We've got 4 of us today this morning. We are normally 8, but some of our colleagues are not present, committed elsewhere. So I want to start on my immediate right, Commissioner Awol Staruni, Director Eunice Masharia, and then Mr. Kibara. Mr. Kibara represents the PS, State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunications. Please, you may sit down. Thank you very much. So I want to say once again, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. You don't sound that you are in for good time. Good morning once again. That is better. Now, it is my great pleasure that I join you all to officially launch this 5th edition of the Kalasha International Film and TV Market. And I take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us today for this remarkable trade fair, which is a brilliant initiative by the Kenya Film Commission. The 5th edition of the Kalasha International Film and TV Market is a milestone that I am particularly proud of because it marks progress in our push as the Commission to provide opportunities to players in the film industry to not only exchange ideas, but also to grow their craft. We remain alive to the fact that actual change is gradual, This is the main reason why, year in, year out, we keep hosting engagements such as this and learning from the feedback from the market to ensure that the next one is better than the last. Eventually, we shall be there. In this 5th edition, under the overarching theme of economics of content creation in the digital era, the Commission and our partners have aligned professionals from East Africa and beyond to demystify the state of content creation in this era and to provide a roadmap to content creators on how to navigate this market in terms of policies and channels through which they can get value back from the content. It is my belief that the consolidation of all these thoughts and ideas from various experts will be instrumental in helping to make the film industry a step forward. Even as we forge forward and work tirelessly to propel the local film industry, it is important to note that we are not in the same position that we were 5 years ago. As evidenced by the number of local productions being awarded via the Commission's other platform, the Kalasha International Film and TV Awards, the film industry in Kenya has made tremendous progress. Not only are we producing better content, the actors and actresses have also come of age, and this is a notable achievement. As we mark the launch of the 5th edition of Kalasha International Film and TV Market, I would like to reiterate that as a commission, we remain steadfast in our promise to develop a sustainable film industry as well as marketing Kenya as a global hub for film production through our various initiatives. In this year's edition, we shall have a special showcase of some of the shooting locations in Kenya, pushing further our quest to market Kenya to both local and international filmmakers. Ladies and gentlemen, with those remarks, I would like to welcome you all to enjoy this edition, the 5th edition of the Kalasha International Film and TV Market, and therefore, take this opportunity again to invite our chief guest for today, Madam Maureen Baka, and we put our hands together and also stand a bit. We can be upstanding so that at least we're refreshing. Let's give her a clap.
Asante, thank you. Please sit. Please have your seats. Prior to giving my speech, let me take this opportunity to recognize one of our distinguished guests, the first daughter Zimbabwe, Ms. Tariro Washe. Please come and greet the people for a brief moment. Asante.
Thank you very much. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge your presence, Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of the ICT, Mrs. Maureen Baka, and to all distinguished guests. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank KFC for inviting me to be part of the 5th edition of the Kalasha Film and TV Awards. It's such an amazing opportunity and such an amazing platform for Africans to come together and talk about film and the business of film. So with that, thank you so much. I look forward to be part of this. It's my first time coming to the market, and I look forward to learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm also glad to see a producer who is a young woman. Let us have more of that. Asante. Mr. Timothy Owase, CEO, Kenya Film Commission. Mr. Ernest Kerich, the board representative, Kenya Film Commission. Mr. Kibara from the KFS. Fellow government colleagues, first daughter, Ms. Tariro Washe, filmmakers, panelists, and moderators, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed a great pleasure to join all of you here this morning as we officially kick off the 5th edition of the Kalasha International Film and TV Market, an initiative of the Kenya Film Commission. The theme for this year's market is Film Business, the Economics of Content Creation in the Digital Era, which is quite appropriate in this digital era. Receive warm regards from the Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Joe Musheru, who would have loved to be here today, but was called away to other official matters. The market's main objective is to encourage growth and creativity in content creation, and in this edition, I urge all filmmakers and stakeholders to come, engage, and also interact with experts in the film and audiovisual industry from Kenya and across the world. This market offers a unique opportunity for participants to learn and share as they discuss issues pertaining to content creation, animation, policy, and technology. Exchanges and mutual learning form an important aspect in the progress of any industry, including the film sector. Cultural events such as the Kalasha market enable direct exchanges and dialogues among experts within the sector and also offer an opportunity for learning for the up-and-coming filmmakers. Kenya has an immense amount of talent. We have impeccable film locations and an abundance of cultural diversity. We have creators full of brilliant ideas and necessary expertise to tell wonderful stories. We as a ministry are excited to showcase all this and more at this year's market. The Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs has taken deliberate measures to improve ICT infrastructure in the country to support the film business. For instance, our Honorable CS Joe Musheru recently officiated the Peace submarine cable launch in Mombasa. The fiber optic cable will bring faster and more stable communication services connecting Africa, Europe, and Asia, thus reducing existing communication delays between the continent. This new project promises faster, cheaper, and more secure internet connectivity, hence transforming the country's digital economy. These infrastructure projects aim to bring high-speed broadband internet to the country and will go a long way in reducing the digital divide. I encourage the filmmakers here today to take advantage of the increased internet speeds and availability in the country to power storytelling through hosting of video on-demand platforms and other related platforms to grow the local film industry. A quick glance across the room, and I noticed that majority of the people here are young people, are the youth, and so I feel it is important to inform you on what the ministry is doing to help the youth take advantage of the immense opportunities that are available online for them. The government of Kenya launched the Ajira digital program, under which free training on how to work online is provided to the youth on the platform ajiradigital.go.ke. There, the youth learn how to take up opportunities provided by the gig economy and prepare the youth for the future of work. Further, the ICT ministry encourages innovative youth in the country to take advantage of one of our programs known as the Huduma White Box, which is a one-stop shop for anyone who wants to present, share their idea, innovation, or solution through the website whitebox.go.ke. Here, the youth can forward their innovations and ideas for promotion and support, including receiving facilities being awarded to qualified startups. Ladies and gentlemen, at the heart of the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs is a strategic intention to sustainably grow the film industry through the strengthening of existing institutional frameworks and increasing the production of films in Kenya through the active involvement of film industry stakeholders. With a vibrant film and TV industry, we are certain that the industry will be more alive, offering increased job opportunities and sustainable wealth creation for industry professionals and the youth. The government has therefore committed significant resources to training and upskilling programs to help take the film industry to the next level. The industry has significantly been transformed over the years, and the nature of production, distribution, and exhibition is not what it was before. These changes have challenged decades-long industry rules and routines, mostly propagated by the disruptive nature of digitization. COVID-19 has also significantly accelerated this transformation. The panelist discussions at this 5th edition of Kalasha Market will delve deeper into these subjects and through discourse find ways to ensure that the film sector in Kenya and the entire Africa continent achieves its full potential. Our rich Kenyan cultural heritage, combined with the technological opportunities that exist, has led to the emergence of filmmakers focused on creating content that drives social, political, and economic development. A strong national economy depends on a strong creative economy, and it all starts with a story. The Ministry of ICT is alive to the fact that film is not just a driver of economic growth, but it also enables social development, and thus through the KFC, we are working towards the provision of safe, creative spaces for new voices and ideas through film hubs that we are currently building within counties. The ICT Ministry has signed an elaborate MOU with the global streaming giant, Netflix, which opens great investment and capacity building opportunities in the Kenya film industry. Additionally, to cement the place of Kenya as a diplomatic hub and as a host to leading international bodies and organizations, the Cabinet considered and approved hosting of the temporary Secretariat of the African Audiovisual and Cinema Commission in Kenya, a commitment by the Kenyan government to growing the film sector not only in Kenya, but the region at large. This will also accelerate implementation of the Smart Africa initiative and thus create one single large market to sell and buy content on the African continent. I encourage corporate entities to continue to support and partner with government agencies in advancing the youth development agenda. As a ministry, we reaffirm our commitment to support the Kenya Film Commission in developing a vibrant film industry in Kenya. As a ministry, we remain steadfast in our commitment to grow the sustainability of the film industry through strengthening existing institutional frameworks and increasing the number and quality of film productions in Kenya through the active involvement of film industry stakeholders. With that, let me take this opportunity to say that I look forward to hearing and participating in this 3-day extravaganza. And with that, I declare the 5th edition of the Kalasha International Film and TV Market officially open. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the 5th edition of the Kalasha International Film and TV Market.
We have an exciting array of conferences and workshops featuring film industry experts from across the world.
Come and experience the best of Kenya storytelling at the Kalasha Market 2022.
Come connect and trade in Nairobi.
Come and experience 3 days of film and TV exhibition by players from within Kenya and across the African continent.
Welcome to the Kalasha Market.
A round of applause, everybody. And welcome once again to the 5th International Kalasha TV and Film Market. We're just about to open up the exhibition hall, hundreds of exhibitions here for you to see, and what Kenyans are showcasing in terms of film and TV. Before we do that, I'd like to invite our honored guests onto stage for a photograph. And as I do that, I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Vincent Onyango, who's the director of the Department of Film Services. But welcome, guests. And to everybody else, we'll be taking a short break before the first panel begins in about 25 minutes. So take some time to go out there and take a look at what we are doing in this country to improve film and TV as an industry. Asanteni sana. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Owase, Ms. Mbaka, could you kindly stay on stage? There's been a request for some photographs to be taken, as well as you, Mr. Kerich. You can stay, Mr. Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Mr. Riro, could you join us on stage, please? Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes the opening session. As I had mentioned, in 25 minutes or so, we'll begin with our first panel, which is regarding TV and film in the digital era. But for now, I'd encourage you to go and take some time and take a look at the exhibitions. We'll be back in 25 minutes. Thank you.
Tunaandamania nani?
Ile serikali iliwanyima kazi na ikawanyima kiongozi mwenye wali.
Hatujaipata leader in Kenya mwenye anashughulikia youth.
The boss says the shoot to kill order continues.
I swear to God, I did not kill that child.
Get your filthy hands off me!
Tunajua ni polisi, lakini tunajua kwa hii country mnyonge ana haki.
Mimi sina shida na nani amekuwa rais. Shida yangu kubwa ni watu innocent watazidi kufa mpaka lini?
Hapa kwa street hakuna mtu innocent.
Since when the 6-month-old child go to the streets to riot? Si kila mtu anauliwa na polisi uletwa hapa. Wengine utupwa. Wapi? Sijui. Labda kwa lake.
After considering the evidence tendered before this honorable court by both the prosecution and the defense, this court finds
Tunaandamania nani?
Ile serikali iliwanyima kazi na ikawanyima kiongozi mwenye wali.
Hatujaipata leader in Kenya mwenye anashughulikia youth.
The boss says the shoot to kill order continues.
I swear to God, I did not kill that child.
Get your filthy hands off me!
Tunajua ni polisi, lakini tunajua kwa hii country mnyonge ana haki.
Mimi sina shida na nani amekuwa rais. Shida yangu kubwa ni watu innocent watazidi kufa mpaka lini?
Hapa kwa street hakuna mtu innocent.
Since when the 6-month-old child go to the streets to riot? Si kila mtu ameuliwa na polisi uletwa hapa. Wengine utupwa.
Wapi?
Sijui. Labda kwa lake.
After considering the evidence tendered before this honorable court by both the prosecution and the defense, this court finds
Guys, meet Allison, my fiancée.
You're the one stealing my best son away from us.
I am.
Welcome to the Jambo family, where I am the official black sheep. Come on, Justin. What do you think you're doing? That's my this. What are you doing? Bring my ticket back. Come on, Justin. You come on. You. That's my ticket. That's my ticket, Justin. Fireman.
You are going to strangle my son because he broke a glass.
What more?
No.
You have no right to call the police on your brother. Do you understand me?
But he's a thief. He's a criminal.
Oh, shut up.
I'd love to go up in flames.
This is confusing.
I shouldn't be.
Mogoy, this is a celebration of 40 years of marriage between your mother and I. And we all have to be there as a family.
I'm not part of this family. You disowned me yesterday, remember?
Fireman.
But my head feels naked.
And change the head, not the wings.
Mom, I don't think that wig and head wrap goes with your dress.
Mom, I change, eh?
Yeah.
For goodness sake, never, ever, ever mention throwing anything, clothes or color to your mother.
What? I was just commenting.
This reminds me of our wedding day. She kept the whole church waiting for 1 whole hour as she tried to dress up to look nice. When she came out, she looked uglier than she was before makeup. How can anyone look so horrible? Dressed up like that? Oh, what's wrong with you women?
But the Bible tells me so. My brilliant, number 28.
My family is so embarrassing.
I'd want you to remember me as a brother who was never fake.
Jesus loves me. You.
Guys, meet Allison, my fiancée.
You're the one stealing my best son away from us.
I am.
Welcome to the Jambo family, where I am the official black sheep. Come on, Justin. What do you think you're doing? That's my this. What are you doing? Bring my ticket back. Come on, Justin. You. Come on. You. That's my ticket. That's my ticket, Justin. Fireman.
You are going to strangle my son because he broke a glass.
What more?
No.
You have no right to call the police on your brother. Do you understand me?
But he's a thief. He's a criminal.
Oh, shut up.
I'd love to go up in flames.
This is confusing.
I shouldn't be.
Mogoy, this is a celebration of 40 years of marriage between your mother and I. And we all have to be there as a family.
I'm not part of this family. You disowned me yesterday, remember?
Fireman.
But my head feels naked.
Then change the head, not the wings.
Mom, I don't think that wig and head wrap goes with your dress.
Mama, change, eh?
Yeah.
For goodness sake, never, ever, ever mention wrong anything, clothes or color to your mother.
What? I was just commenting.
This reminds me of our wedding day. She kept the whole church waiting for 1 whole hour as she tried to dress up to look nice. When she came out, she looked uglier than she was before makeup. How can anyone look so horrible? Dressed up like that? Oh, what's wrong with you women?
For the Bible tells me so. My brigade, number 28.
My family is so embarrassing. I'd want you to remember me as a brother who was never fake.
Jesus loves me. You.
Guys, meet Allison, my fiancée.
You're the one stealing my best son away from us.
I am.
Welcome to the Jambo family, where I am the official black sheep.
Come on, Justin. What do you think you're doing? That's my this. What are you doing? Bring my chicken back. Come on, Justin. You. Come on. You. That's my chicken. That's my chicken, Justin.
Fireman.
You are going to strangle my son because he broke a glass. What more? No.
You have no right to call the police on your brother. Do you understand me? But he's a thief. He's a criminal. Oh, shut up.
I'd love to go up in flames.
This is confusing.
I shouldn't be.
Come on, go. This is a celebration of 40 years of marriage between your mother and I. And we all have to be there as a family.
I'm not part of this family. You disowned me yesterday, remember? Fireman.
But my head feels naked.
Then change the head, not the wigs.
Mom, I don't think that wig and head wrap goes with your dress.
Mama, change, eh?
Yeah.
For goodness sake, never, ever, ever mention wrong anything, clothes or color to your mother.
What? I was just commenting.
This reminds me of our wedding day. She kept the whole church waiting for 1 whole hour as she tried to dress up to look nice. When she came out, she looked uglier than she was before makeup. How can anyone look so horrible? Dressed up like that? Oh, what's wrong with you women?
For the Bible tells me so. My brigade, number 28.
My family is so embarrassing. I'd want you to remember me as a brother who was never fake.
Jesus loves me. You.
Guys, meet Allison, my fiancée.
You're the one stealing my best son away from us.
I am.
Welcome to the Jambo family.
Hi, my name is Angela. I'm here to see Mr. Harry. I had an appointment with him at this hour.
You may have a sit while I check.
Okay.
I'm sorry you're late. Mr. Harry has just left for a meeting. We'll have to reschedule and set up for another appointment.
This mechanic is going to make me miss my appointment.
Hi. If the appointment is that important, and I'm clearly heading your direction,
Leave me alone. I do not need your help. Wait, are you following me or what? Am I the only girl you've seen today that you want to stalk? Hi, my name is Angela. I'm here to see Mr. Harry. I had an appointment with him at this hour.
We have a sit while I check. Okay. Sorry you're late. Mr. Harry has just left for a meeting. We'll have to reschedule and set up for another appointment.
This mechanic is going to make me miss my appointment.
Hi. If the appointment is that important, and I'm clearly heading your direction,
Leave me alone. I do not need your help. Wait, are you following me or what? Am I the only girl you've seen today that you want to stalk? Hi, my name is Angela. I'm here to see Mr. Harry. I had an appointment with him at this hour.
We have a sit while I check. Okay. Sorry you're late. Mr. Harry has just left for a meeting. We'll have to reschedule and set up for another appointment.
This mechanic is going to make me miss my appointment.
hi. If the appointment is that important, and I'm clearly heading your direction,
Leave me alone. I do not need your help. Wait, are you following me or what? Am I the only girl you've seen today that you want to stalk?
Goko ne kwa oe. Ae hoya. Miskin kwaje? Nakan ko ready?
Sawa na kujoin group.
Unamaanisha nini?
Hii kitu ni business ya mtu. Ni kama kateli ya mseni.
Jana umeshine kushine, eh?
That's why they call me Mwanga. Jia kushine.
Hey, kijana ni mfani.
Wanna my join in the group?
I will let you know.
Registration fee. Hii hapa.
Tuchwani, uko down sana.
What else do you want me to do? I've washed for you, cleaned for you, and even paid you.
Hiyo ndo inaitwa due process. Lazima ukuwe impatient.
Nataka kuanza group yangu.
Shule itatutambua aje?
Tutachallenge kina Gadi, then tukishinda tutarepresent shule.
Wanapeana hizi saa hii.
Wanapeana saa hii hadi bado wako hapo.
I understand the two of you have grievances. I'll give each one of you a chance to tell me why they think their group should be the official school team. Gadi, you go first.
Today our reputation has been challenged.
Yes, sir.
It has been challenged and questioned.
Yes, sir.
We cannot compete against those roaches.
No, sir.
We cannot stoop to their level.
No, sir.
That is like admitting we are weak.
Sir.
Are we weak?
No, sir.
So here's what we are going to do. Well, remind me your name.
Mwanga. It's Mwanga.
Sauti ya kesho.
Seven, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
150K. Wow.
Una dance competition?
Alibook ticket ya kwenda Nairobi juzi, most likely yuko kwa in-laws wake pale Mathare.
I should never wait for you.
Welcome to our first official leo nataka watu wa dance mpaka miguu ziume. Nataka wa dance mpaka viuno vivunjike.
Na si mume dance poa. Anze kwanza nyinyi mnafaa kwenda competition France.
Paris iko. Natafuta watoto wawili. Wanaweza kuwa wamepita pamoja wamevaa top ya red.
Na mtu sijui anawapeleka majuu amewachukua.
Ati? We will need a team to go.
Something is off.
Inze kulieta lyange bananga John Lubanga Lidede ndibulwa Itegero Village, Itegero Sub-Location, Kusali East Location. Utula mungoma limenya lyetu kuli kwamenya yenu kuli kwamenya yengo wetu omuluguli ngoma manende abana kandi koronda emima jabo
nuli musaza singire udinye oh baboli uli musaza waba oh kekebo ni murukamula munene ne Saidi mu history yetu ya Baruguri.
Ni nani huyu mchawe? Mundeke ondoga huyu. Ikiwa na uchawe kamili anza kuroga hapa saa hii, simama roga.
Mzee John Lubanga Lidede is an 86-year-old widower who has dedicated his life being a custodian of the Mulogoli practices, history and culture.
Unaona ukirudi shule kesho?
Mama nienda kutafuta fees na ajarudi hadi saa hizi.
Shida yako ni ulipe fee na mimi ni nyamazi. Tulisikizana unalipa
na tulisikizana usiwe kanyaga hapo.
Unaandamania nani?
Ile serikali iliwanyima kazi na ikawanyima kiongozi mwenye wali.
Hatujaipata leader in Kenya mwenye anashughulikia youth.
The boss says the shoot to kill order continues.
I swear to God, I did not kill that child.
Get your filthy hands off me.
Tunajua ni polisi, lakini tunajua kwa hii country mnyonge ana haki.
Mimi sina shida na nani amekuwa rais. Shida yangu kubwa ni watu innocent watazidi kufa mpaka lini?
Hapa kwa street hakuna mtu innocent. Since when the 6-month-old child go to the streets to riot?
Si kila mtu anuliwa na polisi uletwa hapa. Wengine utupwa.
Wapi?
Sijui. Labda kwa lake.
After considering the evidence tendered before this honorable court by both the prosecution and the defense, this court finds
Unaandamania nani?
Ile serikali iliwanyima kazi
na ikawanyima kiongozi mwenye wali.
Hatujaipata leader in Kenya mwenye anashughulikia youth.
The boss says the shoot to kill order continues.
I swear to God, I did not kill that child.
Nataka mtoto wangu! Nataka mtoto wangu! Get your filthy hands off me!
Tunajua ni polisi, lakini tunajua kwa hii country mnyonge ana haki.
Mimi sina shida na nani amekuwa rais. Shida yangu kubwa ni watu innocent watazidi kufa mpaka lini?
Hapa kwa street hakuna mtu innocent. Since when the 6-month-old child go to the streets to riot?
Si kila mtu anauliwa na polisi uletwa hapa. Wengine utupwa.
Wapi?
Sijui. Labda kwa lake.
After considering the evidence tendered before this honorable court by both the prosecution and the defense, this court finds
Guys, meet Allison, my fiancée.
You're the one stealing my best son away from us.
I am.
Welcome to the Jambo family, where I am the official black sheep.
Come on, Justin. What do you think you're doing? That's my this. What do you think you're doing? Bring my chicken back. Come on, Justin. You come on. You, that's my chicken. That's my chicken, Justin.
Fireman.
You are going to strangle my son because he broke a glass. What more? No.
You have no right to call the police on your brother. Do you understand me? But he's a thief. He's a criminal. Oh, shut up.
I'd love to go up in flames.
This is confusing.
I shouldn't be. I'm all going. This is a celebration of 40 years of marriage between your mother and I. And we all have to be there as a family.
I'm not part of this family. You disowned me yesterday, remember?
Fireman.
But my head feels naked.
Then change the head, not the wigs.
Mom, I don't think that wig and head wrap goes with your dress.
Mama, change, eh?
Yeah.
For goodness sake,
Never, ever, ever mention wrong anything, clothes or color to your mother.
What? I was just commenting.
This reminds me of our wedding day. She kept the whole church waiting for 1 whole hour as she tried to dress up to look nice. When she came out, she looked uglier than she was before makeup. How can anyone look so horrible? Dressed up like that? Oh, what's wrong with you women?
But the Bible tells me so. Mabrigan, number 28.
my family is so embarrassing. I'd want you to remember me as a brother who was never fake.
Jesus loves me. You.
Good morning again. For anybody who's in the exhibition hall, we'll be starting our first panel.
Panic is going to make me miss my appointment.
Hi. If the appointment is that important, and I'm clearly heading your direction,
Leave me alone. I do not need your help.
Wait, are you following me or what? Am I the only girl you've seen today that you want to stalk? Hi, my name is Angela. I'm here to see Mr. Harry. I had an appointment with him at this hour.
You may have a sit while I check.
Okay.
I'm sorry you're late. Mr. Harry has just left for a meeting. We'll have to reschedule and set up for another appointment.
This mechanic is going to make me miss my appointment.
hi. If the appointment is that important, and I'm clearly heading your direction,
Leave me alone. I do not need your help.
Wait, are you following me or what? Am I the only girl you've seen today that you want to stalk?
Gokone kwa oe. Ae hoya. Miskin kwaje? Nakaa niko ready.
Sawa na kujoin group.
Unamaanisha nini?
Hii kitu ni business ya mtu. Ni kama kateli ya mseni.
Jana umeshine kushine, eh?
That's what they call me Mwanga. Jack Shine.
Hey, kijana ni mfani.
Wanna my join in the group?
I will let you know.
Registration fee. Hii hapa.
Tuchwani, uko down sana.
What else do you want me to do? I've washed for you, cleaned for you, and even paid you.
Hiyo ndo inaitwa due process. Lazima ukuwe impatient.
Nataka kuanza group yangu.
Shule itatutambua aje?
Tutachallenge kinagadi, then tukishinda tutarepresent shule.
Wanapeana hizi saa hii.
Wanapeana saa hii hadi bado wako hapo.
I understand the two of you have grievances. I'll give each one of you a chance to tell me why they think their group should be the official school team. Gadi, you go first.
Today our reputation has been challenged.
Yes, sir.
It has been challenged and questioned.
Yes, sir.
We cannot compete against those roaches.
No, sir.
We cannot stoop to their level.
No, sir.
That is like admitting we are weak.
Sir.
Are we weak?
No, sir.
So here's what we're going to do. Well, remind me your name.
Mwanga. It's Mwanga.
Five-minute call for everybody who wants to listen to the first.
Sauti ya kesho.
Seven, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, 8. Wow.
Dance competition.
Alibook ticket ya kwenda Nairobi juzi, most likely yuko kwa in-laws wake pale Mathare.
I should never wait for you.
Yeah.
Welcome to our first official
na si mume dance poa. Anze kwanza nyinyi mnafaa kwenda competition France.
Natafuta watoto wawili. Wanaweza kuwa wamepita pamoja wamevaa top ya red.
Na mtu sijui anawapeleka majuu amewachukua.
Ati? We will need a team to go in.
Something is off.
By the time we look,
7, 8, 2.
Inze kulieta lyange bananga John Rubangalidede ndibulwa Itegero village, Itegero sub-location, Tusali East location. Utula mungoma limenya lyetu kuli kwamenya yenu kuli kwamenya yengo wetu wa Muruguli ngoma manende abana kandi koronda emima jabo
nuli musaza singire udinye oh baboli uli musaza waba oh kekebo ni murukamula munene ne Saidi mu history yetu ya Baruguri.
Ni nani huyu mchawe? Mundeke ondoga huyu. Ikiwa na uchawe kamili anza kuroga hapa saa hii, simama roga.
Mzee John Lubanga Lidede is an 86-year-old widower who has dedicated his life being a custodian of the Mulogoli practices, history and culture.
Unaona ukirudi shule kesho?
Mama nienda kutafuta fees na hajarudi hadi sasa hivi.
Shida yako ni ulipe fee na mimi ni nyama. Tulisikizana unalipa
na tulisikizana usiwe kanyaga.
She came to church looking for help. I couldn't let her sleep in the streets.
Cindy, you have to be smart. You don't go around picking strangers and bringing them in the house. I want her gone.
Sam,
toka uende na usirudi tena. Ende na uende kabisa.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 2 minutes before we kick off our panel. If you're in the exhibition hall, kindly make your way to the conference room so that we can begin. This is also a call to any panelists who might be out there.
Unaandamana ya nani?
Ile serikali iliwanyima kazi na ikawanyima kiongozi mwenye wali.
Hatujaipata leader in Kenya mwenye anashughulikia youth.
The boss says the shoot to kill order continues.
I swear to God I did not kill that child.
Nataka mtoto wangu! Nataka mtoto wangu!
Get your filthy hands off me!
Tunajua ni polisi, lakini tunajua kwa hii country mnyonge ana haki.
Mimi sina shida na nani amekuwa rais. Shida yangu kubwa ni watu innocent watazidi kufa mpaka lini?
Hapa kwa street hakuna mtu innocent.
Since when the 6-month-old child go to the streets to riot?
Si kila mtu anuliwa na polisi uletwa hapa. Wengine utupwa.
Wapi?
Sijui. Labda kwa lake.
After considering the evidence tendered before this honorable court by both the prosecution and the defense, this court finds
Guys, meet Allison, my fiancée.
You're the one stealing my best son away from us.
I am.
Welcome to the Jambo family, where I am the official black sheep.
Come on, Justin. What do you think you're doing? That's my this. Just what do you think you're doing? Bring my ticket back. Come on, Justin. You come on. You, that's my ticket, Justin.
Fireman.
You are going to strangle my son because he broke a glass. What more? No. Brother, do you understand?
Good morning once again and welcome back. We are here live at the 5th Kalasha International TV and Film Market. We're ready for our first panel session this morning, and we're going to be discussing something really important in terms of the economics of content creation in the digital era. This is, of course, an era that we're all in, and we're all trying to figure out how we can make money as individual filmmakers, people in the TV value chain. And we've got a great panel up this morning, starting, of course, with the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission, Mr. Timothy Owase. He'll be joining us on stage after he completes his tour. I'd like to invite, or rather, I'd like to introduce our second panelist this morning, who's going to be joining us virtually. His name is Mr. Kevin Sharpley. He's the CEO of Kijik Media. As I mentioned, he's going to be joining us virtually. In the audience this morning, and I'd like to call him up now, is Mr. Joby Bakama, who is the founder of Callback Dream Studios. Joby, if you can join us on here. We're just speaking off stage, and I found out that Joby, in spite of being Ugandan, has spent most of his time and his life, his early life here in Kenya. Karibu sana, have a seat. Also joining us online is Ms. Jackie Motsepe. She's the CEO of the KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission. And finally, a man well known for producing some of the most compelling TV and documentaries here in Kenya, the managing director of documentary and reality TV, Mr. Eugene Bugwa, kindly joining us on stage. Thank you very much. And good morning or good afternoon to Jackie as well as Kevin. I hope you can hear us. Great to have you. All right.
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. All right, so I wanted to kick this session off with painting where it is that we are at the moment. And let's start with you, Jackie. We've traveled quite a bit of a journey on the continent from analog television and film to a digital era where pretty much all content is consumed, or a vast majority of the content that people are consuming today are consuming it on their phones, consuming it online. Walk us through where we are today and how ready Africa is for this era in film and TV. Jackie.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning from Durban, South Africa. It's wonderful to participate in the panel at Kalasha, though virtually I wish I was there in Nairobi with you. So thank you so much for the question. I think in terms of where we are positioned as a continent, it really is a time where we need to harness the opportunity. I think the one thing that COVID has taught us is that there is a keen interest in African content. If you just look at what is happening on the streamers, such as Netflix. Technology has also made it easier to develop and to create content. Is not as expensive, to use or to hire the equipment that was required in the past. it is possible with technology, to use a wide range of instruments to produce your film. So it is a wonderful opportunity to develop, create content, tell our stories, but also distribute our content on a wide range of platforms, knowing that there is an appreciation for African content. We as the Film Commission have just been at the Cannes Film Festival, which is probably the biggest global platform for film and cinema. And what we found very interesting about being in Cannes this year, again, after coming out of the pandemic, is the interest, the noticeable interest in African content. I mean, we were fielding a lot of meetings with producers, wanting to find out how we work, find out about our programs, our funding instruments, but also with actual films that they have earmarked to come and shoot, in South Africa and in Africa. There were 3 African pavilions at the Cannes Film Festival, which again, shows you that there is a demand, there is a need, and there was a huge presence actually of film practitioners from across the continent. So it is a wonderful opportunity for African cinema. I think we really have to look at it as a business, as an economic contributor.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a great opportunity really for the continent.
Okay, Kevin, same question but slightly different. Now that we're in this era and some of the big boys and girls in digital TV and film are our streamers, so Netflix, Disney, Hulu, to name a few. A lot of the pitching by local producers and filmmakers is going towards these big boys. But is there room for other streamers, other players in the market at this point in time, or is the market already crowded out and we need to figure out other ways of being able to make money digitally?
Yeah, I mean, it is a crowded marketplace, and that's a given. The streamers, I mean, you look at Netflix, they lost over 200,000 subscribers in their last quarter. And there's a reason for that. But when you look at the ascension of the streamers and the 4 major streamers push into the marketplace, what you'll see is that all of them are grasping for market share, but there's always been room for each one of them to have growth, regardless. I think Netflix, their issues had less to do with the subscribers themselves and more to do with some of the internal things like increasing the subscription rates. But I just want to focus even more on content, because I really loved what and I don't want to destroy your last name. What
Jackie had said.
If you could help, what Jackie said, yeah. What Jackie said. I didn't want to be too informal. But what Jackie just said, which is you look at Netflix and their increase in global content. And that, I think, is very important. What they've been able to do is showcase the hunger and the desire for content from other places. I mean, it stands right now, even with one of their biggest hits, which is Stranger Things. It still hasn't surpassed what has become their biggest hit, which is Squid Game. And that's a South Korean show. And so that demand in terms of global content, when you look at a streamer like Netflix and some of their other hits, which some hail from Spain, like Money Heist, and others from other countries, shows that there is a global demand. And, I can speak, having been in Nairobi myself in December for a couple of weeks, the growth of the industry there in Nairobi. I also lived in South Africa and worked in South Africa in the film and entertainment industry. But the growth of the industries there in Africa, there is a huge demand, and there will be an even growing demand, because there's a growing demand for content in general. And there will be, because of the streamers and because of other other entities and entering into the marketplace.
Yeah.
And with future leaning platforms like Metaverse, which is becoming, fast, one of the bigger platforms in terms of that outreach for content.
All right. Joby, I want to come to you. Similar question. Joby. Yes, we are firmly in the digital era. And as Kevin and as Jackie have explained, there's room for a lot of new, a lot of new players. But is there anything from your point of view as a person who's been in the business that scares you, or perhaps you think of as a challenge in this new digital era that you'd want to see resolved, so that more players locally, especially locally in Kenya, but also continentally, can start to participate more effectively?
Scares me. Not really.
Yeah.
I think there are challenges that we have coming up. So challenges like making sure there's equal pay, making sure we understand how to monetize our content, understanding that local will win in the long run. Meaning, when you look at Kenya, for example, there's so many different tribes, so many different languages. There's always opportunity for a content creator to sometimes say, hey, if you sit in your niche, in your language, you could actually probably win even bigger than ever before. We've seen like he just said with Squid Games and with that
Money Heist.
Money Heist, the Spanish series, from a South African context, since Netflix seems to be the one we keep talking about, Blood and Water did very well, which was a South African series. So I think that what happens is that local stories kind of like resonate globally. It's weird. Like you'd think that, in our culture, we're the only ones that do this.
Yeah.
Across the world, there's somebody sitting there in their culture going, oh my goodness, we do the same thing.
Yeah. So local story, global context, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah.
But if there was a concern, the only concern is just understanding how many opportunities there are to monetize, understanding that it is a long game, and having the patience to build the library and build the business for that long game.
Can I just get Eugene to jump in on that? Because if there's anybody who's been playing the long game since the early 2010s, it's you in the local market. How has this changed? And are you feeling like, as Joby had mentioned, that the hours, the graft of being able to build a content library are now paying off more for you in the digital area? What are the opportunities that you're looking for?
Thank you, John. Unlike Joby, I'm pretty scared actually, because the change is affecting us quite heavily. With the advent of digital creators, this is a young guy with a mobile phone shooting in 4K. Self-publishing doesn't require any person to help them get it on TV. It's a big threat to traditional production houses like ourselves. We are finding that they're eating our cake every day. So we're pretty scared about what the future looks like. But at the same time, excited. To answer your question about playing the long game, I think for us, one of the things that being in a game for a while certainly helps with is your quality gets better, your contacts get better. So one of the things that we are looking at currently as a company is we've pretty much done well in the local market, but we're trying to see what can we do in the regional market, what can we do in terms of getting international formats. So it's an interesting time. We're also trying to see how can we then make money not in the usual way where you create content and license it to someone, but go the extra mile and create merchandising. How do you self-publish in the very same way that you're doing with Shahara and similar stuff? So it's an exciting time, and we're still playing the long game, but hoping that the digital development doesn't surpass us.
That's an interesting iteration that you're talking about, because most filmmakers, most people who are in the audience are in the value chain, will say content is king, content is king, content is king. But if you're talking about creating other sort of products and services that help build the content, then perhaps there's been a shift that we need to think about. I want to come to you, Mr. Owase. From a regulatory and sort of like a framework point of view, we've heard Eugene talk about his fears, Jackie talk about opportunities, as well as Joby and Kevin. What's the role of institutions like the Commission in ensuring that There's not, because we kind of have crossed that bridge from analog to digital, but that there's an entrenchment of the digital economy locally as well as internationally, so that people who are here, the young men and women who are filming on their phones, etc., can still get access to the same market as well as the same opportunities that people who would be able to go to Cannes, as an example, would.
The linkages between Kenya and other countries. As you have heard from my fellow panelists, this sector is a huge pipeline, a pipeline that is capable of creating huge job opportunities, creating wealth, and possibly overtaking any other sector in the country or in Africa.
Let me jump in there and ask, do you have any projections, do you have any numbers that you're looking at in terms of the growth of the industry locally and regionally?
So far, as I said, the role of government in this particular sector is to draw a legal framework and also support initiatives that are geared towards growing the sector. When you think about Kenya in particular, I know the demand for local content is growing every day based on the quota system that was introduced based on the Kika Act of 2013. And for this, of course, it's for us to empower the producer and also encourage content buyers so that they are able to access this content at a much acceptable and affordable rate, where the producer is able to make a living out of this, and at the same time, expanding the market. Of course, I'm thinking about we opening the entire African content as a huge African market that a Kenyan producer can be able to actually sell his content and make a living out of. This can be championed through co-production treaties, which are championed by the government. Other than that, encouraging schools so that we have skilled manpower. Remember, today you can be able to become a one-man production house, and you're able to produce content that you can be able to sell to the globe. We would like this to be advanced, but at the same time, also champion cooperation between different producers. And of course, when we talk about numbers, mainstreaming the screen sector is at the top of our mind at Kenya Film Commission. And that's why this financial year, the Commission has actually engaged the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics so that we can be able to have film statistics captured every quarter and announced to the public on a regular basis. This will be able to give us room to provide an avenue for key decision makers to actually make decisions which will be able to help advance the growth of the sector. Okay. And remember, think about agriculture in Kenya. Today, the weather is unpredictable. It's unlike before when we thought about, I would like to be ready to have my farm ready for farming maize in March or in April. But when you compare that to the sector we operate in, you actually don't need to think about when will the rain come. You can be able to plan your script today and plan about how you will apply technology to produce your content without worrying. And this is a sector that is actually attracting more young people. That's why we have to really focus, and governments have to ensure that the environment is so friendly in terms of production and so on.
Okay. Eugene, I want to come back to you and for us to dig into the point that you made about the different channels and means through which people can start to distribute their content. And preface the question this way. So, Alphabet, Google, YouTube, all of those sitting under one company, right? Not only do they have the platforms that can distribute this content globally, but they have Google AdSense as an example, where they can monetize that content right from your phone. What does that do for other players in the market in terms of A, making the decision about where to put their content, and B, how to distribute it and make money sustainably?
I think using the example of Google particularly and YouTube, there's been an interesting shift from before and now. So there's a few ways of looking at it. So the first way is you create great content and you put it out there for free. Now for the vlogger, the one-man army we are talking about, it's pretty easy because then their cost of production is quite low, and they're able to put content that goes viral and possibly make their money back purely from the ads on YouTube. I think the second way of looking at it is to just look at it as an output platform, and then understand that if you do generate enough views, you can then monetize in other ways, not necessarily from AdSense. And again, going back to the example of vloggers, I think there's a way, if you have a page that has great numbers, you're then able to attract product placement or advertising yourself outside of AdSense. I think then Google cancels your AdSense revenue, but you still make your money otherwise. Now, in terms of that, there's still a need for, again, the more traditional production houses like ourselves, because then the AdSense doesn't make sense very much. And here you have, again, I'll use the example of Shahara, and I think Philips Productions also have their own platform where they do put, what I like to call more specialized content that's been produced by a team, so you have better quality sound, you have better storytelling. For that, I find that then the Google platforms don't work very well, and here you have to rely on almost like pay-per-view, which is what Shahara and the Philips Production platforms are doing. And I find that to be a very, very interesting avenue, and I'm really observing to see how that goes with the other productions with the view of doing the same.
Okay, Jackie, I want to bring you in on this, and I'll come to you, Mr. Owase, for the same question about distribution and platforms. We started this discussion with a question about Netflix and some of the big four streamers and the capacity that they have to be able to distribute at scale. So, Jackie, my question to you is this. As a film commission in South Africa, how do you balance between the encouragement of these platforms to deepen their participation in South Africa and on the continent, with the knowledge that a lot of what could wind up is a concentration of content, as well as the wealth that's generated from content around these very same platforms, as opposed to a spreading of the wealth and the revenues that can be made?
Yes, no, thank you. And I'm glad that the discussion is really looking at the monetization of the content that's produced, because I think sometimes we tend not to talk about that enough. We tend not to really talk about the importance of holding on to your IP so that you are able to actually monetize the content across a range of platforms. From our side, as a film commission, we do have a film fund. We support projects, we support filmmakers, and we obviously encourage them to hold on to the IP, because we don't hold on to any IP. We encourage them to hold on to the IP and really explore the different platforms that are available, for them to put their content out. Whether it's theatrical, and obviously that was more of a discussion pre-COVID, or now with all the range of platforms that really are available. So we have quite a bit of content that is on Netflix that has been licensed. Fortunately, our producers have been able to get their content on there. I think also a new player really that has announced that they are going to be coming into the continent is Amazon. They made a big announcement during a FRIF, and they have also been to South Africa and engaged industry here. So that is really another opportunity for filmmakers to monetize their content on the streamers. We obviously in South Africa have the broadcast networks, broadcast channels also, where filmmakers can also look how they can see how they can license their content, whether it's to the SABC. MultiChoice is currently the biggest player in that regard, but there's also ETV, in South Africa, where filmmakers could also license their content. So there are opportunities out there. In South Africa, I think the discussion is really about being more knowledgeable, being more savvy about what is available, understanding the importance of your IP, and really the fact that there is a market out there, the believability, because sometimes there's a belief that, look, if I don't sell to the first person that makes me an offer, I probably won't get another offer. So really engaging the expertise that is out there in the form of distributors that could advise on the content. And I think we do have quite a number of distributors on the continent where this type of advice could be sought.
Okay.
So there definitely is that potential, to monetize the content on a range of platforms.
Okay, Mr. Wasa, same question.
Thank you. First, allow me to state that when we talk about international content buyers or VODs like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, among others, it's in our best interest as Kenya Film Commission that we create an avenue for these giants to actually operate in our country. Of course, when we talk about them operating in our country, we are aware that the VOD platforms are actually in business and they would like to make profits. But at the same time, we are also aware they have strategies on how to achieve their profits. We at Kenya Film Commission, we are looking at what are the possibilities of plugging into their strategies. For example, they would like to have more subscribers on their platforms, but for them to be able to achieve that, for example, here in East Africa, they would like to do what we call localization. And to do localization, they must be able to engage our local content creators so that localization is achieved. And of course, on achieving this, we can't ignore the fact that we need proper monetization and content distribution, which brings to my point that other jurisdictions have actually put specific regulations as applied by government. For example, if Netflix was to come here, then out of the profits that are made out of whatever they are able to acquire in the country are actually plowed back into the industry. But that's a discussion that can be advanced because we are not yet there.
Okay, ancillary to that question is a very practical concern that members of the public would have when consuming, because they're the end consumers, and that's data costs, right? So in as much as we'd want for the digital economy to work for us, that's a huge question. You had mentioned that there's a cable that's recently landed here, but what are the conversations that you're having with the telcos themselves to ensure the telcos as well as government in terms of regulations and the kinds of taxes that are applied to data so that members of the public can consume content at reasonable cost and perhaps even dedicate that extra shilling or kwacha or wherever they're paying, whatever currency they're paying in, to the content creators, to the building of that industry.
I really appreciate that point because it is true, all VODs and all of us would like to consume content in a big way. And as we know, today our telcos are the biggest pipeline for content distribution, and that's why each smartphone has the capability of you being able to access the content. So the government, I can confirm the Ministry of ICT is working towards being able to reduce costs, which will translate into telcos being able to reduce data costs. And when that happens, we'll be growing the number of audiences that can be able to access these services. And when that happens, of course, it translates into producers being able to produce more content because the market is there.
Okay. We've spoken about the sunny side of content creation in the digital era. And Joby, I want to come to you for a bit of a reality check, right? So we are 2 years into what has been perhaps the biggest global shift in many ways caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. We're still not out of the fog. Walk us through what that was like for people who are in the film and TV business. And whether there were any silver linings for people in this industry and what you can look forward to. And I'll come to you, Kevin, for the same question, perhaps looking at it from a more global perspective. But Joby.
Yeah. So I've usually been a more glass half full type guy, but I must say COVID really shifted some of that. And it challenged not only myself, but a lot of my colleagues in ways that we'd never thought possible. I mean, to think that an entire industry will be shut down for 3+ months. To think that incomes that are already, the cash flow of being in production, but by its default nature, is always very up and down. It's kind of like a a very interesting mountain graph. You know, it goes up, comes down, goes back up again, comes down, 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 goes back up. And it's not always necessarily a steady cash flow. So the first 3 months, I'll just speak about myself as a business owner. That first 3 months was hell. I wish to never ever go through it again. Came out of it stronger, great. But, you know, when you're losing colleagues, when people are losing their businesses, closing their businesses, when people lost their jobs, when friends and family members are also dying, when you're seeing so many RIPs, not only in your timeline, in your WhatsApps, etc., that just was a horrible time. And, you know, I had to shut down one of my businesses, lay off employees, close systems down, reshift, rethink, sit there and go, okay, what are we gonna do? And that's just the nature of how my business was positioned at the time. Now the upside, and this is something Eugene probably is more on, and actually after I have spoken to him for just a few minutes, I realized, it's interesting how he saw it. You know, he saw it more as like a repositioning. And so for him and his team, that challenge was like, how do we reposition? And in reflecting back, I realized, yeah, we also did the same, but I just didn't think of it that way. Yeah. But there was a way to just rethink. So one of the things we started doing was we realized we could remote work for clients anywhere in the world. And we started ghost producing projects remotely without leaving our houses. We started using library footage, figuring out how to do everything as virtual as possible from home. And one of the first biggest jobs I did was a commercial for the Rockefeller Foundation from my house, where I even did the voiceover on my phone under blankets on the couch in my living room.
Yeah.
And I did the voiceover. And this was a client in New York. Yeah. My editor was in another country. My producer was across town. And none of us could meet other than on Google. Mm-hmm. And we had to turn on a project in about 72 hours. And we did it. And that first one made us go, oh, hold on. Okay, maybe we can do it differently.
Yeah.
And every other job from there became about how do we work differently. Mm-hmm. You know, so I tend to now pick more leaner jobs, as Eugene had said to me, and then I was like, damn, I'm kind of doing it. I didn't realize I was doing it. But I picked different types of gigs that I now deliver for clients, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm more of a docu-series, I'm more of a podcast, I'm more of a very lean team, more strategic thinking, higher profit margin. Yeah. That became my push.
Okay. Kevin, how about you? What were your perspectives coming out of the COVID-19 period and pandemic? I know we're not completely out of this globally, but how did that shift your thinking, and what trends did you see that we can start to think about? Kevin, you're on mute.
Right. Yeah. So in terms of physical production, I mean, a lot of the effects are still lingering now, and these are kind of global effects. So physical production is still about 20% more than it was because there's COVID protocols that are in place. So you need to have a COVID specialist on set. You need to still adhere to certain COVID protocols. Right during the storm of the pandemic, those costs were about 30% more. So you had to find different ways to become more economic in other areas. And so that did force my company and other companies to become more efficient. So that's kind of one barrier, and that if those efficiencies stay in place today. But when the shutdown officially happened, you know, you really had to look for areas that perhaps, you know, you were already working in that you could expand. For us, it was animation. And so we were already working in the area of animation, and we looked to expand that area even more. And when you talk about animation, that really does open it up for international collaboration. And we were already working with, or I was personally working with an animation company there, ADA Animation, as a mentor for one of their boot camps. And so what I was able to do was to bring a couple of their mentees onto some of my company's projects, and they did very well. And that shows how this kind of international bridge can happen, but also ways to democratize production. And those systems are still in place. You know, I still work with ADA. As I said, I was just there in December, you know, and watched the mentees graduate, met Timothy there, and saw a little bit about how the government there is forming ways to help production move forward. And so these types of situations can, create walls.
Yeah.
But when you find your way around those walls and find other ways to, find efficiencies, but also other ways to increase productivity and increase other areas, those are lasting methods that you can then carry forward. And I think a lot of companies were forced to do that. And so on the other side, it allowed them to become better companies and better people.
Okay, Joby, you have something to add?
Just to add a little bit on the costs of producing in the middle of COVID, that, if anything, has ever challenged us on being flexible, quick, fast, responsive, it's the actual cost. Because doing PCR tests, rapid tests, having a COVID medic, then having a contingency plan on top of it. So if on the day of shoot, even though 48 hours before you had tested the entire crew, the day of shoot, you test everybody, including talent, and one of talent and their manager and a couple of your camera guys all test positive. 48 hours later, what do?
Yeah.
And I've been there, and you scramble, man. Like, you're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And I've had it happen. I think which variant was it? There was one bloody variant that just caused havoc, man. It was around
the Delta variant.
Yeah, October, November. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'd never had this happen. We usually used to have like maybe one person, two people most test positive. So like in a crew of 30, 40 people, maybe one person would test positive. And it was almost like the walk of shame as they walked away from the set because we wouldn't let them in. It's like, oh, you got to go to the isolation room. Then you needed a counselor to talk to them to be like, hey, it's okay. Do this, retest within 48 hours just to make sure maybe this is a false positive. And also like just to calm them down, because imagine the anxiety they're going through, Suddenly they're just like, oh, I can't breathe, I've got COVID, and what happens next?
Yeah.
So on top of just having to think, oh, we need a counselor on top of the COVID med to be on standby just to debrief them. During that variant, man, I remember one day we had 8 people test positive, and we'd never had such a high number.
Yeah.
And half of them were talent, so okay, who are we filming on camera today? So we had to scramble and get new guests to come in, and then the other half were crew. And it's such that, again, I don't like COVID, I wish we never go through this again, but the upside is we're quick on our feet now, man.
And really
dance.
Thinking fast, right?
That song changes, we know how to change it. Well, okay, what rhythm is this? Okay, we're dancing.
Yeah. The story in terms of COVID and companies moving online was that thinking on your feet, that digitization. And this goes to you, Mr. Owase, as well as Jackie in South Africa. What did you notice about how digitization changed the TV and film industry in your respective countries? Maybe we'll start with you, Mr. Owase.
Thank you. First of all, despite the negative effects occasioned by COVID-19, I think COVID-19 came with it quite a number of opportunities, especially for storytellers. We got a lot of time to actually undertake research on our stories and also advance international online jobs, which was championed by digitization.
Yeah.
So despite the negative effects that we all experienced, we at the Commission, as supported by government, we had an opportunity to also rethink on how do we advance and support filmmakers to that end.
Jackie, same question. What were those things that you saw that perhaps shifted or changed in when people were thinking about how to digitize, how to become more efficient in the COVID-19 era, that perhaps we can carry forward or look forward to from film commissions such as your own?
I think what it did largely is really just brought more players on board. Made it more possible for people to develop content. So in a way, it helped to level the playing field. All we could really do during the time of COVID was to support projects in development. whilst developing protocols and doing other things. But what it did, and I think the speakers have spoken about it really quite eloquently, is that our producers then became more creative, about how can they use the technology that is available to develop content and therefore, present this content to us as a funding body. So I think it really did, especially for emerging filmmakers. In fact, the very first project that we were actually able to implement after COVID was a project for and by emerging filmmakers, where they basically produced 9 films. So during the COVID time, they were able to refine their projects, and as soon as the pandemic. As soon as the pandemic has not stopped, but as soon as we were able to go out and start filming, those were the first projects that were able to go out.
Yeah.
So I think it really just has created more opportunities, particularly for emerging filmmakers, and it's just enabled more innovation, for producers in the industry.
Okay, let's move to the future, and let's start looking, down the road. What things that we're seeing perhaps are bright spots, but also speaking from our own experiences. Eugene, what things are you thinking about now that you weren't thinking about 2 years ago that will inform your business for 5-10 years to come in terms of content or distribution, marketing, etc.?
I think the first thing that really shifted for us was a need to diversify the genre of content that we produce. I think just before COVID, a lot of our content was event-based. We had travel shows, we had wedding shows, which we still do. But as soon as the lockdowns happened and all these changes occurred, those were the first things to go. So immediately we started to think, it's time to diversify. In terms of also just how we deal with international productions as well, we had quite a bit in the pipeline. We had co-production with some people in South Korea, some in the States. And again, travel shows are a bit dicey now. So again, that's just another point around recreating genres. But in terms of distribution, also just realizing that our market is too small, and so we're also looking at what is happening with East African integration. And I was in a breakfast meeting the other day with the CEO, and we were having a conversation about what East Africa integration means for us, because then all of a sudden you have a population, I think, of close to 200 million people who now speak Swahili. So that's something that's very, very much on our minds right now. Another change that also did happen was we realized that sometimes maybe we have too many people on set, so the numbers were else. The figures before were 60 for the bigger productions, 20 for the smaller ones, and just seeing that you can do the same work with 5 or 10. Those are some of the interesting changes that we're finding. And of course, that's great from a business perspective. As a business owner, you are saving cost, not so much from the employee perspective. But those are some great lessons that we picked up from the COVID time.
Okay. Same here to you, Mr. Owase, and I'll come to you, Joby. Let's crystal ball this for a moment. 10 years from now, what are your expectations of the TV and film industry from where you sit right now? Of course, informed by what the past 2 to 3 years have been like.
From where I sit, 10 years from now, I vision seeing the creative sector or the screen sector being one of the topmost economic earner for this region, if not the continent, because of the prospects that we are able to see now.
Yeah.
And again, looking into the future, my key word to the practitioners is that we need more collaboration to look at our partners. For example, collaboration between Kenya and South African countries, East African community, as Eugene has said, we need to integrate more and cement co-production treaties. This will enlarge our market and also give us room to create more content that will have a market for sustainability.
So you're doing location, you're launching your location mapping today, this evening. And I just wonder, in the same vein of having co-production agreements with other film commissions in the region, etc., is there a plan to start selling East Africa as one major location or are we thinking about Kenya first, just so that we can benefit over those, or from those same economies of scale?
Thank you. It is actually futuristic that I sell East Africa. It's easier that way, because when I think about the 400 million Swahili speakers, assuming I'm a producer today here in Kenya, and my target is only the East African Swahili speakers, I already know exactly what I need to do so that I'm able to deliver to them. Again, going beyond East Africa, I have to look at Africa as a market. And that's where now the issue of governments coming up with the co-production treaties come in, because we have to facilitate the filming environment to enable those co-productions. Today, as we speak, I know we have South African producers in our midst here in the Kalasha market, and the intention is not for just them to come and enjoy the show and go back. The opportunities are that they can be able to collaborate with their fellow producers here in Kenya and come up with critical stories. And when they do this, opportunities that lie in there encompass funding, where the South African money will combine with the Kenyan money to tell this story. So there is huge opportunity in this.
I like that force multiplier thinking in terms of collaboration and what it can do to be able to stretch shillings across the continent. Joby, you had mentioned that you're doing different kinds of content now, or focusing, you and Kevin as well, started focusing on things that perhaps you hadn't thought about that could make you money and try and sustain your business. But I want to ask a slightly off-center question about the content that you consume yourself. Are there any new content categories that you're thinking about, like while you're watching and you're like, wow, this is going to be big, and we need to start thinking about this?
Okay, so what I consume is completely just not even what I create.
Yeah.
And it's that thing of a baker doesn't sit there and smell the cakes and the donuts that he makes. You start to look around and like, what do other people cook? So I tend to watch more travel shows, oddly enough. I'm a big travel show guy. And then I'm obsessed on YouTube with the fact that very random shows that show street food culture have such high views. Like there'll be a random video with a guy scrambling eggs in the middle of Mumbai, and it has 100 million views. And I'm sitting at home going, what am I doing wrong, God? Because I'm like, this is one camera, the sound is whatever. It's just a guy frying eggs in the middle of the street. Granted, he's frying like about 100 eggs in a few minutes, but still, as I sit there, I realize, man, this landscape has shifted. But at the same time, you land on TikTok and you realize, oh, wow. So this dancing channel, they're just dancing, one camera. Okay, 40 million views, huh? And your mind just starts sifting, and you do realize, like, what Eugene was saying is like, man, it scares him because some kid out there is just killing him. I love the fact that there's all these kids, these students here right now. That just makes me so happy, my soul so happy, because the truth is you guys are the ones defining what's happening right now. You're the reason TikTok is so popular. You're the reason why Instagram and Facebook are doing so well, So I tend to more look at them as a cue and then go, okay, what can I pick and then work back into anything I'm currently doing? But what I consume versus what I do, worlds apart.
Worlds apart.
Yeah, what I do is, unfortunately, I walk in, I'm like, I need a big budget, need 6, 7, 10, 12 cameras. I want to set up for 3-4 days. I want to sit and post for 2 months. Can the first cut take 4 weeks? Meanwhile, these young guys are in here. Boom, 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 boom. He's going home on the train or the bus home.
And 3 hours
By the time
later.
he's home, he's done the cut. It's up, man. And there goes his 1 million views are just loading and running. So knowing that, it's just good for us to realize. And what I try to do is I try to hire a lot of young people. And have a lot of young people around me. And I'm always like, guys, what's going on? So yesterday, funny enough, in my Instagram, I made a little reel of my travels the last few days, and I posted it, and I picked a random piece of music, and one of my writers, she's very young, she comments under my video, she goes, how do you know this song? That made me so happy. I was like, yes.
You've made it.
Yeah, I've made it. So that's how I consume content.
All right, Kevin, same question. Is there anything that you've been watching that's kind of giving you an inkling about what the future is going to be like in terms of content and helping you shift, watching or listening too, because there's podcasts as well that are taking things by storm.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I run a multimedia company, so we delve into many different types of media, and we have always pushed the limits in terms of what's going to be the next trend, what's going to open up the next avenue for entertainment. So we do everything from, we have a feature film that's coming out this year, documentary feature, an animated film, a documentary short. But one big project that I'm involved with that we just sold to a network is a animated show that's part variety show. It's a talk show. It's also scripted. We do interviews, and then we have music artists that are vying to get their songs synced on film and television shows. And so that set is animated, and it's actually a space station that's right outside of Earth.
Wow.
And, our lead host is this film and TV star, Colin O'Donoghue. And so, we are working with people around the world. I mean, my company, and for that is based in Ireland. My creative director lives in Switzerland. And a lot of the cast and the crew, they are in the UK. Yeah. And so we're also looking to connect with Ada Animation there in Nairobi, because we've been working with them on various projects, on that project and other projects. This type of pipeline of production to be able to allow international co-productions is, I think, a mark of the future. But that particular project takes place in, and you all remember this, it's called the Metaverse, and I don't know if you know about Metaverse, but it's the newest. It's not even a trend. By 2024, it will be an over $800 billion market, and by 2030, it'll be over $3 trillion market. Yeah. And so the Metaverse takes place both in virtual spaces, augmented reality, terrestrial. So that project that I just told you about, we just sold it to a network. So you'll be able to see it on terrestrial TV on a network, but you'll be able to participate. You'll be able to come in as your avatar self and look around and see, the space station and see what's going on as an avatar. Okay. And everyone that's in the show, from the hosts to the guests to the musicians, are all avatars on the show. And so it takes place in the Metaverse, which is, the Metaverse will be this huge virtual, connected space. Yeah. That, you'll have shows, you'll have a lot of gaming experiences that take place then here in the Metaverse. And another marker of that is Disney just named the head of Metaverse about 2.5 months ago. So that's the biggest trend that's happening right now, and that's, I think, something to really look out for.
All right, you've spoken to what you had termed the democratization of the production process, right? So you're doing, international collaborations with people in Kenya and Switzerland, etc. But there's one big part of this, market that also has democratized, and increasingly so, because of the comment section, because of the feedback loops that you get from your audiences. And Eugene, I want to come to you and tell me, how iterative has your production process become because of the feedback that you're getting from your audiences? How do you include that in such a way that it's almost like a constant conversation between you and them, as opposed to you producing and saying, here, look at what I've created, come watch it and give me 1 million views?
I think I was, when I got into the industry, my first TV show was just around the time when social media had become a thing. And it's interesting to watch because it both builds and destroys. We have cancel culture now, so it's very easy for a mob to just come and shut down something. But at the same time, I think it's also, when you have a constructive fan base, then people are quick to tell you what works and what doesn't. I know for some of the people that we sell content to, we don't really get back feedback in the form of ratings. So one of the ways that my company uses to sort of use as a dipstick is we'll put these short videos online, and sort of gauge which ones have higher engagement, which ones have better views, and you're sort of almost quickly able to see what works and what doesn't. And I find that that's very, very useful. Where else you would have had to, for information like that, you would have had to hire a research company. Now it's immediate and it's right there. So it's both, it's a double-edged knife.
A double-edged sword, Kevin also touched on something that leans into a conversation about policy. So you have the metaverse that's going to be a very, very big virtual space where people can watch, consume content, buy property, etc. in a completely different way than people have had before. How do commissions, how do regulators, how do people who are overseeing the frameworks for the creation and then an entrenchment of an industry like film catch up to these kinds of trends and ensure that when we're regulating or when we're creating policy, we don't turn around and the market is 3, 4, 5, 6 years ahead of where we think it is? How do you keep pace with that?
Thank you very much. We can no longer wait to catch up. We have to be ahead of the game. Like now, when we talk about where the sector is likely to be in the next 10 years, I'm looking at deliberately that we would like to grow emerging sectors like gaming and animation so that we are able to actually undertake specific promotional components and regulatory frameworks that actually are in line with this. So when you talk about the internet, key innovations, technology application, regulators have an opportunity to actually research ahead and get to know what is coming in the next 5 years so that we are able to plan. I'll give an example. In the telcos, we started by talking about 2G. We are now talking about 5G, and there is a 10G coming. With that understanding, it is very possible to plan ahead. So the same applies to the regulatory framework.
Okay. Jackie, I want to ask you this question and look at it from the point of view of these interlocutors, these platforms that are challenging what the regulatory framework needs to be from an intellectual property point of view. So TikTok as an example, and content creators constantly finding portions of their content on there with no agreements on IP. How do you protect the content creator in a day and age where there are these kinds of platforms and people interacting with them where they're going to put up that content anyway? There might be moderation and community guidelines on those platforms themselves, but many times you find that content creators are often left in the dust looking up at their content doing so well. There's absolutely no benefit that comes to them, or that their content is used in a way that they didn't approve of on platforms that they have no control over. What's the role there for your commission, and speaking more broadly to regulators and government institutions to ensure that the content creator is also protected?
Yes, no, thank you for that. And I think regulation is extremely important. I think the one thing I shouldn't forget to say, and I will respond to your question, is that we are very present as KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission at Kalasha. We've got an exhibition stand. We've got 2 representatives from the organizations, Yanda Maklingwani and Mtokosisi Butelezi. I'm sure they're in the audience, they can wave. And we also have 2 filmmakers that are there to engage and look at opportunities for co-production. When it comes to regulation, it's and all the different players that are coming on board, I think it's something that we are trying very much as South Africa to be quite active. Our regulator in South Africa is ICASA. They have put out, white papers, and our role is really just to make contributions to that, because what we're looking at is first of all protecting the IP for the filmmakers, like I've mentioned, but also issues of localization. So if a streamer is within a particular market, what are the issues around local content quotas? I think it's not an easy thing to talk about, but it's important that we, do ensure that we do talk about these things. The issues of local content quotas in our market, because obviously our consumers are paying for that content. So fortunately, ICASA has been quite aggressive as far as that's concerned. They do put out, white papers in order for them to look at how they can regulate the space. It's highly complex, and our role is to really make sure that we make contributions to that effect, supporting what they do, but also putting our position forward in terms of a regional film commission, in terms of what we want to see, with regards to regulation and in protecting our IP and our local content and our filmmakers.
Okay. We're getting into the portion where we're going to give our final thoughts. And I want us to think a lot about the future and a lot about the things that perhaps you'd want to tell people from where you sit, in your specific spheres of influence or expertise, about what the future is going to be like. And Eugene, I want to start with you. What are your thoughts about where people who are in production and distribution should be going over the next couple of years?
I think it's an exciting time for both, and I'll speak about two levels of production, and that's the newcomer, the person who wants to get in. There's never been an easier time to do that because you have your mobile phone that can shoot in 4K, you have all these add-ons, equipment is as cheap as it's ever been. So it's an exciting time for someone who wants to come on board. For people at my level, it's also a pretty exciting time in the sense that I'm looking at what's happening in South Africa and Nigeria and seeing the content that they're putting out with higher budgets. I'm seeing the same happen locally when I look at shows like Kina and Selena and some of the other shows that we have on our local platforms. So it's a really exciting time to see production quality getting better, what magic you can do with better budgets. News like what's happening with ESC is looking interesting. We're going into markets like Tanzania and we're finding that people are ready and almost open for co-productions. So it's an exciting time for the industry all around, and I'd say we have just have to keep doing it.
Okay, Eugene, I'm going to give you 10 seconds or 15 to plug anything that you are currently doing for the audience here and following online to look at and look forward to.
Thank you very much for that, John. So we have a bunch of TV shows going on. We have Best of on NTV every Sunday. We have a new TV show with Betty Chalo and the sisters premiering on 17th of June on Showmax. That's quite exciting. And we do have another comedy show coming out at the end of June called The Roast House with the Stand Up Collective. So pretty exciting stuff coming out this month.
Excellent. Eugene Bogwa, DNR Television. Thank you very much. Joby, same question to you. When you sit from where, from your vantage point, what does the future look like to you? And you can use the last 10 seconds to also plug something that you're doing.
Okay. I think, just like Eugene said, there's never been a more exciting time to be a content creator. Guys, it is so easy for you to just go global just from your phone. It's amazing to me. I think, I always say, it's not the sword, it's the swordsman. Meaning, at the end of the day, you're a storyteller. You have to tell a story. So don't be obsessed that no, I need the big camera, I need the big lights, I need this, whatever. With just a phone and a good microphone, you can do wonders. Just on your phone, by yourself, telling your stories, picking up your skill sets, and taking it from there. The highest paid YouTuber last year was what, 11 years old? 11 years old. And they made $26 million. They're 11 years old. So what I'm saying is, I'm looking at my kids like, y'all are lazy. Get to work. Y'all need to work. Daddy's got uncapped Wi-Fi. Can we please use it, guys?
Yeah.
Here's a phone. Everybody gets a phone in the house. Plug-wise, a lot of my stuff is on Channel O. It's on Vuzu. I've got Freestyle Friday on Channel O. I've got The Mix Up on Channel O as well. But the thing that I'm most excited about right now, it's on Apple Podcast Player, it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube. It's the first ever podcast for Netflix from an African perspective. It's called Never Late African Time. I'm super, super proud of it. We shot this in the middle of the pandemic, in the middle of everything that could be thrown at us, including so many shoot days delayed because of COVID or lockdowns by countries. When you've booked the shoot days, booked the studio, booked the crew, booked the flights, the hotel, and then the country gets shut down. And your insurance policy comes back into effect. You're like, thank God we have insurance. But Never Late African Time is the thing that I'm most proud of, because we're letting African creatives who are the producers, the directors, the actors of the African stories that are on Netflix, speak from their perspective.
Yeah.
It's the proudest thing I've ever done. If it's the last thing I'm judged on, I go away happy.
I'm actually looking forward to that. I saw the trailer online, so I'm going to look out for that. Never Late African Time.
Never Late African Time.
Kevin, to you. Final thoughts. What are you looking forward to over the next couple of years, and what are you working on that we can look at?
Yeah, it's an exciting time. I'm going to lead in with a project that I'm really excited about. It's called Above Ground. So it's a project that I was able to bring in some Kenyan animators from the boot camp that I'm a mentor for, but also in collaboration with Ada Animation. So that particular film, it's an animated film, is going to go into festivals in about 3 weeks. So we're really excited about that. And in terms of the future, I can agree with everyone else there. It's an exciting time because it's a time where just about anyone can jump into the industry with a cell phone, because the cell phone's now shooting 4K, and make sure that you have good sound. I can say that from the start for our young up and coming and emerging talent. But even for companies like mine, where we've done huge productions, there's been ways that we've been able to utilize a lot of this future-leaning democratization in terms of equipment and in terms of processes that have allowed us to become more efficient and maintain the same quality. So that's exciting. But also, I talked about this kind of co-collaboration that can happen internationally, and we've been able to do a lot more of that co-collaboration internationally because of technology. And so I'm excited to be able to do that more than anything. And then this move into, we talk about the metaverse and this virtual space that then allows for a global connectivity. And then I'll leave it with this. Look, just a couple of years ago, no one knew a lot about content coming out of South Korea. And now, you have I mentioned Squid Games, but, you have an Oscar-winning film from 3 years ago, which was Parasite, and the list goes on and on. I know for sure that there's very soon going to be one of those breakouts that comes from Africa. It could be East Africa, it could be from, Nigeria, it could be from South Africa. But I know that there's going to be that breakout hit because there's a connectivity. There's something that we all share. So then that sets a spark for all of the other content that's to follow. And I know that's right about to happen. And of course, I'm doing whatever I can to help to push that. Nairobi is one of my favorite places. South Africa, which I lived in South Africa, is one of my favorite places. Africa is one of my favorite places in general in the world. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And we've just set up a bit of a competition, which I want to push here. Jackie, is the next breakthrough film going to be from East Africa or South Africa? A very unfair question, but what are your thoughts?
I'll try and give a friendly answer. I think, look, we really are the three competitors when it comes to that. Southeast and West Africa, Nigeria, Nollywood, as we know, is huge. I mean, we do have one Oscar, right? South Africa for Tsotsi. So we really, and that was quite a while ago, So I think it's about time that we actually get our second one. But just as a parting shot, what I'd really like to say, and what is important, I think, for this platform is the whole question around co-production. If we talk about, the future, what do we hope for the future? I mean, South Africa, we have 9 co-production treaties with different countries around the world. We only have one African co-production that was signed only last year with Nigeria. I know that there's been a lot of talk and discussions about a Kenyan co-production with South Africa, and I'm hoping, Timothy, that we'll be able to sign that soon, because I think that is where the future is. We have a huge potential on the African continent. If we are able to formalize the sector, have more co-productions, more film commissions in different parts of the country, have more co-production treaties amongst us, This is a huge market. We have a lot of differences, but we also have a lot of similarities. There's a lot that we share culturally, and our stories, as we've seen, are universal. So it's critically important, for us to be in a market like Kalasha, because Kenya is a very vibrant industry. We've seen the potential. It's not our first time in Nairobi. And we really want to see how we can forge those relationships and create more co-production projects, even outside of the treaty, whilst the treaty is still being discussed and finalized. Let's start working together as two industries from the continent, and let's see what magic we can do, because I think that the audience is waiting for us. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful thoughts. Let's work together. Timothy, your final thoughts about what you're most excited about over the next couple of years as CEO of the Film Commission, and also to plug that competition. Who is going to be the breakout star on the African continent? Are we putting our money on Kenya?
Thank you. First of all, I'm seeing a huge opportunity in the next few years, and the beauty is that in Kenya we have seen this emerging from young people. Of course, when you talk about Africa, I'm seeing breaking that ice will be a co-production between Kenya and an African country. So my take is that as we forge into the future, let us focus on strengthening our film guilds, associations, towards promoting self-regulation, because that will give us room to create a meaningful industry and being self-aware on where we want to go, because the future is very bright in this sector.
Yeah.
As a CEO of Kenya Film Commission, my take is that in the next 5 years, I would like to see a Kenyan film, either animated, winning an Oscars. So that is the real focus.
Great hopes for the future. Thank you very much for your thoughts. There's been very, very, very rich thoughts that have come out of this panel. To anybody who joined us midway, some of the key touch points are in terms of creating efficiencies in your business to make sure that you can produce more, produce lean. Look for a conversation with your audience to ensure that you're creating and co-creating with them. The democratization of the production process. Look forward to all sorts of kinds of collaborations with people that you might not have thought about before, that you can reach out to, and a regulatory environment that encourages film and TV to move solidly through the digital era. Timothy Owase, CEO, Kenya Film Commission, Kevin Sharpley joining us online, as well as Jackie Motsepe, the COO of the KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission, and here with us on stage, Mr. Joby Bakama, founder Callback Dreams, and Mr. Eugene Bogwa. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. So that brings us to the end of the first panel of the 5th Kalasha International Film and TV Market. There's going to be another one coming up in the next 25 minutes. That, if you're interested in what industry regulators are doing, then that's definitely for you. The topic is going to be industry regulators, and it's a roundtable that's going to be moderated by Ms. Ruth Mudhui, the manager, legal services, I think at the commission. So there's about 25 minutes between now and that panel, so I'd encourage you, again, if you've not seen the stands, if you wanted to have a conversation with anybody that's in the film industry who's here today, take the opportunity to do so, and let's make the most out of the 5th Kalasha International TV and Film Market. My name is John Alanamu. We'll see you much, much later on in the day. For now, enjoy the conference.
born a champion, but it's only through guidance and training that this can be achieved. At Talanta Institute, we empower you with practical skills in media studies, music production, animation, digital marketing, DJing, and performing arts. We also mentor in life skills to bring out the champion in you. Call us on 0734 777778. Talanta Institute, unveiling champions.
Hello, my name is Paul Kimani. I am the Big Square head barrister. Big Square and Dormans have had a very long and prosperous relationship. Dormans has been a very huge support to the company. When it comes to our coffee equipment, they are basically just a phone call away. Whether it's servicing, whether it's breaking down, they're always there to help. Even when it comes to even the training, they're always there to help our baristas make the best cup for our customers. Thank you, Dormans, for always supporting Big Square. Thank you for always being there to support us, and of course the good products that you provide to us for our customers. We appreciate that, and we thank you so much.
My name is Linus Alphon, head barista at CJ's Village Market. We use Dormans coffee because of their consistency in the market since 1950s. Dormans also goes an extra mile of training our barista and maintaining of our baristas' equipment. Dormans, you have given us a great service at CJ's. Thank you, Dormans.
Tunaandamania nani?
Ile serikali iliwanyima kazi na ikawanyima kiongozi mwenye wali.
Hatujaipata leader in Kenya mwenye anashughulikia youth.
The boss says the shoot to kill order continues.
I swear to God I did not kill that child.
Nataka mtoto wangu! Nataka mtoto!
Get your filthy hands off me!
Tunajua ni polisi, lakini tunajua kwa hii country mnyonge ana haki. Mimi sina shida na nani amekuwa rais. Shida yangu kubwa ni watu innocent watazidi kufa mpaka lini?
Hapa kwa street hakuna mtu innocent.
Since when the 6-month-old child go to the streets to riot?
Si kila mtu ameuliwa na polisi uletwa hapa. Wengine utupwa. Wapi? Sijui. Labda kwa lake.
After considering the evidence tendered before this honorable court by both the prosecution and the defense, this court finds